After nearly 2 years between seasons, Season 27 of South Park has very unceremoniously come to a conclusion. Unlike the majority of South Park seasons, Season 27 followed one continuous storyline. Season 27 is also the shortest season in South Park's history, clocking in at only 5 episodes. Season 28 started a mere 3 weeks after the Season 27 conclusion, leaving many fans, myself included, confused. Throw in the show ditching its weekly episodes in favor of 2 or even 3 week gaps between new episodes, and you have a very strange new season. So what actually happened in South Park's most recent batch of episodes? Was this season worth the 2-year wait? Did I like the new season? Should it be illegal to put raisins in your cereal? Today I'm going to be ranking and reviewing each episode in South Park Season 27, recapping the overall story and giving my personal take on each episode. If you've just sat down on the toilet to watch this, then buckle up, because we got a good one in store for you today. Enough yapping, let's get into it. Oh yeah, if I sound weird it's because I'm using a new mic, so let me know if you think it sounds better in the comments. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe. I have a growing backlog of animated cartoon episodes with new videos every other week. All new subscribers will officially become at least 3 feet taller. We also have a Discord if you want to harass me any further. As always, thank you to our Patreons and channel members. Those links are below if you want to support me further and see your name in all the videos. Season 27 started with one of South Park's best episodes of all time. Scott Tenorman Must Die is the show's highest rated episode with a 9.6 rating on IMDb. Sermon on the Mount, though, sits at a legendary 9.3 stars out of 10. I'll admit it, I didn't watch this episode right when it was released. I was playing some games with the boys, and I just couldn't stop seeing people freaking out about this episode. So I sat right down on my couch, waited for the Comedy Central rerun, and then I was hooked. The season opens with Eric being distraught that NPR is canceled. Eric enjoys listening to NPR because he likes to hear the liberals whine. Cartman is super upset that the president canceled his favorite show. In a very Cartman-like fashion, he just enjoys hearing the minorities being picked on. PC Principal is going to save the school by introducing Jesus into South Park. PC Principal now stands for Power Christian. He says that quite a few times during the season. And they are literally bringing Jesus himself into the schools. Randy's concerned about this and he turns to ChatGPT for answers, and this scene's actually pretty funny, with Randy confiding in ChatGPT rather than just talking to his wife. Cartman declares that Woke is officially dead, leaving him lost without a purpose in society. The town is rioting at the president's poor decision making. They storm into Mr. Garrison's house, as he was the president in previous seasons, taking on the role of Trump. And it's nice to see that Garrison's character is back to normal. Too bad this is the only short scene that he's in during this season. Cut to Trump, who looks like a Canadian and sounds like the longtime South Park character Saddam Hussein. The main joke here is that he's a tin pot Middle Eastern dictator with a very small, dinky. A running theme throughout the season is that Trump is literally Satan. South Park is taking a huge political swing for the first time in a long time. Cartman's depressed that Woke is dead and forms a pact with Butters to end it all if it doesn't come back. Stan is forced to accept Christ and allow him to sit with them at his lunch table, which is absurd in thought and premise. Trump is going to sue the town of South Park for criticizing him, and Satan compares Trump to Saddam Hussein, who was his last love affair in South Park. Woke is officially dead, and Cartman's going through with his plan, in maybe one of the best frames in the show's history. The reveal that Butters' parents' car is actually electric is really funny. The town is protesting, and Jesus shows up to talk some sense into them. It turns out Jesus is being sued by Paramount to come back. He actually didn't want to come back to South Park. He's telling them that if they keep protesting, they will also be sued, and South Park will be canceled. The town of South Park ends up settling with Trump in the lawsuit. They just had to cut funding to schools, hospitals, and roads to help pay for it. You know, nothing major. Another stipulation is that they must air pro-Trump propaganda, and this comes in the form of an AI-generated video that I'm not going to show on YouTube. And this episode was great. The social commentary mixed in with all the jokes was spot on and classic South Park. This episode made huge waves on social media and even got the attention of the White House briefly. For the first time in a long time, people were buzzing about South Park again. And if you didn't like the jokes in this one, it might be a long season for you. A very refreshing episode in my mind, with some shock value humor that I didn't know could be shown on TV. Just for funsies, I'm going to track how often each character has a speaking line in this season as well. Here are the standings after one episode. And this one's going at the top of the ranking so far. Good episode. If there's one thing that can derail this amazing comeback by South Park, it's delaying the episodes. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened with episode 2, Got a Nut. There was a 2-week break between this and the first episode. Not optimal, but people are still excited to see what comes next. Kyle, Stan, and Wendy are all outraged over Clyde's controversial debate podcast. Mr. Mackey's trying to talk some sense into him. Clyde is doing his podcast just to, and I quote, get his nut, which in this episode is just a term for making money to be able to afford your lifestyle. Since the school's budget was cut, Mr. Mackey has been fired, and Cartman is really mad at Clyde for stealing his shtick. Clyde doing a sponsor read while Cartman yells at him is great. It turns out Mr. Mackey has quite a large nut, wait what? Totaling to about $8,000 per month. You're telling me Mr. Mackey was able to afford $8,000 a month as a small school guidance counselor? If my Iowan math checks out, that's $96K a year. Ain't no way anybody working in public schools is making that much money. I mean, unless you're like the principal or like Jesus or something, I don't know. Mr. Mackey decides to join ICE to help pay for his nut. In one of the weirdest sentences I have ever read out loud. In the ICE commercial, we see the WoW player who I didn't think would ever appear in South Park again. Kinda cool. Clyde is hosting a rage bait panel at the school before Cartman takes it over. Cartman claims he is a master debater. Mr. Mackey was accepted into ICE as the bar is quite low. He's shown a training video where Chrissy Noem, the head of ICE, is seen repeatedly shooting puppies. This apparently happened in real life and was something that she bragged about. The scene where Cartman is master debating in the bathroom is really funny. Mackey attends his first ice raid at a live-action Dora the Explorer ship. Man, this episode is wild. The ice raids in heaven are equally insane. Cartman's master debating has become a problem for him and his mom. He ends up going to an award show for the best master debater, and he loses the award to Clyde. Never would have seen that coming. I also never thought we'd see the "and it's gone" banker guy again, but here he is. Mackey is sent to Mar-a-Lago to be thanked by the president personally. We're introduced to J.D. Vance, who is a pint-sized sidekick to the president. Trump is making Mr. Mackey the new face of Homeland Security. The tiny wee-wee joke with Satan is played out here once again. Mackey runs away before finding Clyde in one of the rooms. Turns out the 5-star beach vacation he won was just to Mar-a-Lago. What an absolute scam. Mackey gives some actual advice to Clyde. I really don't understand the nut messaging in this episode. Mackey tells Clyde the more you do, the larger your nut is. Mr. Mackey, Clyde, and Dora escape from Mar-a-Lago as the episode ends, and this episode was solid. Unfortunately, the contents of this episode weren't so far-fetched from what's actually happening in reality. This episode had some good moments, felt like a wacky South Park adventure. Kyle, Stan, and Kenny have really taken a backseat in this season. None of them have said more than a few sentences so far, which is a shame. This is a good episode. It doesn't really come close to the first one. Second place so far in our season 27 rankings. Each episode up to this point has had a steep drop-off in IMDb rankings. The first episode at 9, and the second one at 8, and the rest of the season, starting with SickoFancy, hovers around 7.5. If there's one thing I don't like in South Park, it's Tegrity Farms and continuous plot lines. ICE has taken all of Tegrity Farms' workers, forcing Randy to throw in the towel on Tegrity Farms. Randy is finally having some self-reflection that Tegrity Farms is actually tearing his family apart. Randy agrees to talk to someone about their marriage, and unfortunately we get a reskinned ChatGPT joke. They could have dove into how this farm has actually ruined their family and Stan as a character, but instead we have a Randy and Tally episode. Tally is Randy's last remaining employee. Randy and Tally start microdosing ketamine, just like some tech billionaires. This is supposed to help their minds get an edge to work with AI. Tegrity has been rebranded to Tecrity, combining cannabis with AI. I don't really see the business model, but then again, most tech companies can't really tell you what they actually do. Randy and Sharon fight about the ChatGPT usage and his microdosing. We cut to the White House where people are lined up to give Trump gifts and tell him that he does not in fact have a small dinky winky. 3 episodes in, and every episode has made the same Trump and Satan jokes. I mean, it was funny the first go around, but this plotline is already exhausted. Randy and Tally break into an ICE holding facility to steal back the one worker that they need. This running animation seems kinda new to me and it looks really silly. Sharon consults with ChatGPT and shows how it just agrees with you and strokes your ego. She realizes that Randy's business plan is a fraud, but Randy has a plan to send Tally to the White House to get them to legalize marijuana nationwide. Tally touring DC while the National Guard takeover is in full effect is pretty funny. Tally meets with President Trump, stroking his ego as usual. In its twist, it turns out that Tecrity's gift to the president was actually just Towley. Towley is taken away, and Randy's in a ketamine-induced state as Sharon sits down to talk and treats him like she is ChatGPT. Pretty smart. Randy decides that they have to sell the farm. Finally. The Marsh family is moving back to South Park. Back at the White House, Satan wants out of this abusive relationship. He discovers Towley, who is being used in one of the worst ways imaginable. Satan tells him that there's no escape from this, and the episode ends. This episode was pretty rough. I'm not a fan of Tegrity Farms or Towley, so this was a combination of the worst aspects of the show in my mind. Throw in the Trump storyline that's overplayed at this point, and we have an all-time stinker. They seem to be just repeating the same jokes from the opener and throwing in buzzwords like this is some corporate meeting. They've had 2 weeks to come up with this episode. I mean, I like a good Randy episode, but with mostly recycled content, this one fell flat. No sightings of Cartman, Kyle, or Kenny in this one. Bottom of the rankings. After another 2-week break, Walk is Dead was released as the 4th episode of the season. I honestly can't tell you if I watched this one on release or not. After the steep decline in quality, paired with multiple weeks between episodes, I lost the hype. Some of the girls at the school are excited over some Labubu's. Being from Iowa, I don't really know what a Labubu is, so this episode might be lost on me. My birthday was October 28th, and I turned 28, so I'm officially Unk status, and these young kid trends are really just lost on me. The two girls start fist fighting over their Labubus and their rarity. Jesus is the new school counselor, and like me, he doesn't understand the Labubus either. Red invites Butters to her birthday party, and it seems like Butters has a shot at getting a girlfriend for a change. But she's actually just using him to get a specific Labubu. Butters goes to the city pop-up store, which used to be City Walk. Whoa, Chin Pokemon have returned for the first time in so long, it's kinda cool. The specific Labubu Butters needs is only acquired from a mystery box, and each box is $85, due to tariffs affecting only the end consumers. This Labubu craze is just gambling with extra steps. The Trump is Satan joke is played out in another scene making fun of Fox News. The dead horse has been pulverized into the earth at this point. Politics is shoved into every facet of our lives nowadays. People like me want to watch cartoons like South Park to unplug and unwind from how bad everything is. The girls of South Park are performing satanic rituals with their Labubus. Butters still doesn't have the rare Labubu for Red, and he tries to win another mystery box from a claw machine. Now this is gambling with even more steps. Jesus is trying to put an end to the Labubu craze within the school, but everyone's just being critical of his counseling skills. Jesus goes to the city pop-up store that's selling the Labubus, and Butters ends up winning the rare Labubu, and the City Walk owner tries to extort him for more money. Satan is sad at the White House, and JD Vance goes to comfort him. Satan is bound to the realm by the dark ties of a spooky box. And we finally made it to Red's birthday party. She immediately opens Butters' present with the super rare Labubu. Butters is being used worse than when he was hitting on Raisin's girls. Butters is led up to Red's room to do it being a satanic ritual, of course, unbeknownst to Butters. The girls begin chanting and sacrifice a chicken. The ritual is in full effect as the Labubu floats to the ceiling and Trump is spawned into the room, followed closely by Satan, of course. Satan was summoned from the ritual, black clouds and locusts have swarmed the town, and Jesus arrives on the scene to stop Satan. Satan reveals that the box contained a positive pregnancy test, and it would be wild if the active president actually had a baby while in the office. Of course it's not possible, because the president must be 85 years old to be elected into office. Jesus bans Labubus, TikTok, and phones from school, and actually this is a huge W move, finally getting some praise for being a decent school counselor. This episode was better than the last, but it's still pretty bad. It's apparent the Trump and Satan storyline isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Every time it's mentioned, I feel myself dislike the episode even more. I didn't know what a Labubu is, but by the time I release this video in November, I think the trend will be fully dead if it's not already. Had some good jokes and funny moments, but nothing super redeeming about this one. Kyle, Stan, Kenny, and Randy weren't in this episode, and Cartman was barely present. There have still been no adventures with all 4 of the boys, which just feels so wrong. This one's going above SickoFancy on the rankings today. This next episode must be decent, because instead of the usual 2-week gap between episodes, this one took 3 whole weeks to come out. And I will not be showing any footage from this episode, because Blooms, the GOAT, received an AI copyright claim in his video talking about this one. Man, the future's really great, huh? Trust me, guys. 2016 was really the last good year. Instead of footage from this episode, I'm just going to show a still image of my cat. Dude, that timing is so great. I hope the mic recorded that. My cat just wailed. So put your phone in your pocket or I can't even focus. So put your phone in your pocket or something and relax. If you're still on the toilet at this point, either call a doctor or stand up so your feet don't fall asleep. Aww. Conflict of interest rounds out season 27. A Weebaloo comes to the school and tries to recruit some of the students into joining. It's kind of like the Boy Scouts. The entire class can't tell whether the Weebaloo is a boy or a girl, leading to most of the kids betting on the gender using a new form of gambling app. These prediction market apps like Kalshi allow you to bet on anything, like if Trump and Satan's baby will be a boy or a girl. That's just what everyone needs, a new form of sports betting that takes the sports out of it. Yay, more gambling, fun. Trump's trying to get rid of Satan and his baby, and I can't believe this storyline is still going on. Kyle's outraged that there's a predictive market bet for his mom to attack. Jimmy makes an appearance in the season for the first time, finally. I think we're just missing Craig, Tweak, Token, and Timmy from the extended cast. Kyle's trying to call the head of the predictive market app, but he keeps getting blown off to the next department, even though it's just the same guy. Kyle's outrage is causing the odds for his mom's bet to increase, and Cartman wants in. Even Sheila's friends are trying to poke her to see how they should place their bets. I do enjoy how much they are dogging on this predictive markets gambling trend. This stuff is horrible for society, who can already gamble on sporting events with one click on your phone. Trump's plans to delete Satan's baby keep getting foiled, and Brendan Carr has been suffering the worst of it. Not super funny. Cartman's officially swayed the odds of the bet enough, and he's going all in on the bet, putting $1,400 of his mom's money down. Kyle ends up getting the bet taken down, and everyone realizes these predictive market apps are just scams. In a fun twist, it turns out Cartman would have won his bet after all, so his efforts in helping Kyle to get their bet removed were all for nothing. This episode was just alright. Not many funny moments, or even moments to talk about. It takes on some big issues like Israel and Kalshi betting apps, but it really just lacks any good South Park humor, which is disappointing, since it took them 3 whole weeks to come up with this episode. Again, it feels like they're just going for popular buzzwords in the media and building an episode based off of those. For the first time all season, all 4 of the main boys had a speaking line. Stan and Kenny weren't really in the episode much, it was more of a Kyle and Cartman story. I find myself still longing for the days that this show was about the main 4 boys and their adventures. This one's going above SickoFancy in the 4th place for my season 27 rankings. Season 27 started off with a bang, but then slowly fizzled out. The Trump storyline is just not it, and I was tired of it after the 2nd episode of the season. Unfortunately, they're doubling down and bringing it all the way into season 28, which is currently ongoing. Sermon on the Mount was a great episode of South Park, and truly felt like they were firing on all cylinders once again. Got a Nut was also solid, but after that the quality drops off substantially. It's unclear why these episodes aren't being released weekly. Whether Paramount's trying to milk those South Park subscriptions for a few more months or not, it's hard to say. Season 27 was largely disappointing for me. Kyle and Stan had 1 episode each that they played a larger role in, and Kenny had none. If you look at earlier seasons and pick a block of episodes, you'll find largely different adventures starring the main 4 boys and Randy. I wish they would go back to that formula, rather than feeling obligated to take on hot-button political issues every episode. What happened to the episodes about WWE or giant guinea pigs taking over? That's all I got for today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe, hammer the like button, send hype, and join the Discord. All links are in the description. Again, shout out to our channel members and Patrons. Thanks for watching.